Well, right now I'm reading this book. It's a Pendulum, Leon Foucault and the Triumph of Science. Um, this cat proved that the world is rotating. Um, if you look at atomic time, you see a pendulum is how they keep atomic time. Like those that are know about citizens watches. Some of them are based on radio atomic time, and some of them are based on atomic time. And so he kind of breaks that down. Um, hey, brother James, thank you for joining me. I guess where do I start? Now, those that have checked me out through the years, I'm always sniffling and snorting. Last time I think I came on was right before, I think it was the last day going into Christmas vacation, so like the 24th. And so I had a cold by then. Hey, MJ, thank you for joining me. So I had a cold then. And so Christmas Day, my son goes over to his mother's. He gets strep throat, gives it to me. And so I had to deal with that. It never really was much. One night I got so, I guess, feverish where I had to change my clothes. So that was probably the worst of that, of just having a cold. But the other part, I guess, and this is kind of hard to explain because I can't even explain it myself, but I work out. I use the battle rope. I use hand weights. It's kind of what I can stand. And some kind of way I injured myself. And I injured myself, the way it started was, I guess, somewhat like restless leg syndrome when you lay down, what they call restless leg syndrome. But what was interesting is the pain came in two black boxes. So it was like when I would close my eyes, there was these two boxes that just stood over my legs. And it was like if you look at a charge, how a charge is, a charge just, it's a straight circuit sometimes. Well, it was like there was no way to focus around these boxes. It was like no matter what I did to try to try to go around this pain, it was like it was almost integrated. It was like no really way to get around it. It was like I'm laying there and these boxes of pain are just there. And of course, as the days went by, it dissipated, but it stopped me from sleeping for a number of days. And those of you who know, when you don't sleep, what do you do the rest of the day? You try to sleep. And so I was like pretty much couch on the couch because that was the only time I could get away from the pain, which was a very funny phenomenon. And I went to the chiropractor. He cracked me up. I went a couple days later, got acupuncture, and started feeling better. But it was just the oddest kind of thing, how to explain. The next topic I have, Brother Nick was saying something, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't agree. And I'm gonna tell you, so when people talk about home defense, most people say carry a shotgun because a shotgun can shoot through almost everything in your house. That's pretty fair. There's several shotgun rounds that will penetrate through ceilings, penetrate through walls, penetrate through floors. But Brother Nick said that, hey, Moray, a noble one. Brother Nick said that he didn't think people should buy 115 grade ammunition. And that is extremely wrong. And I'm going to tell you why it's wrong. And this, again, I've been working with guns since 78, 79. I got into real ballistics and stuff. For home defense, a 9mm with a 115 grade round, and if you go to gun training, they tell you to gun train with those, but don't use them in the home because they penetrate through everything. So again, what do you want in home defense? You want something that's going to penetrate through walls. You want something that's going to penetrate through ceilings. You want something that's going to penetrate through floors. 115 grade is going to do that all day. And you can get hollow points of 115 grade. So have to say I disagree with Brother Nick. Like, I have a P320, four magazines of 21 rounds. I'm dumping 60 some rounds on somebody. Do you understand? Within a matter of 6-7 minutes, I can dump 60 rounds. Now, if I dump 60 rounds of 115 grade, it's going to go through everything in my house. So, just wanted to put that out there. No shade. It's just a tactical disagreement. That's all. But gosh, I'm kind of a loss for words. The love of doing this. It's not that I don't like sharing the wisdom, but I don't know. I just felt like, in a way, I'm stepped back to put a good program out there and stuff. You know, I think there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it, and I almost feel like if I can't present that, I'm kind of cheating everyone, because the technology and everything is out there, but just getting it all together is a Bailey Bay your love. Thank you for joining. And so that's all. So but thank you for the people. Valerie, thank you so much for thinking about me. I appreciate that. I guess and I did miss the last full moon. Normally I like to do the full moon ritual with people, but I did miss that, so I'm sorry about that, because that was the 18th, 19th. A lot of people were celebrating, but again, it's 5 days before, 5 days after. So I'm sorry wasn't able to share that with people. Again, I call this Responsible Daddy Hour because I am waiting for the Ethel and Hazel to come. We got basketball practice tonight. We got basketball games this weekend. That's kind of picking up. My daughter's picked up lacrosse. I want to say basketball here has been a big deal. We had the #1 school in the nation out of DC. Gosh, it was a small DC school where Nancy Reagan went to high school, but they were the #1 team in the nation. They had the #2 player in the nation. We have Paige that's going to UConn from Hopkins. And so on national TV, we had a local school. Hopkins is a local school. My children used to go to school in Hopkins. It's not very far from where I am now. And then we had what's called a hockey day here, which we have a couple things going on. We have outdoor hockey games, high school and college outdoor hockey. Just like a couple weeks ago, we had hockey at the Target Field outdoors. Well, this is where we had where high schools come together, where colleges come together, and they play outdoor hockey. So it's pretty big here. We also had we have what's called I think they call it a pond tournament. And so we had 800 teams just come in, and they are like semi-pro, but they play outside and they play a tournament. So we just had that through this weekend. We had a lot of snow. We had like 4 inches, maybe Saturday, inch last night. So we had a lot of snow. They still clearing. So, but this is how big, sports are and everything here. Timberwolves won last night. Timberwolves beat the Nets in overtime. We've been having a back-to-back with the Blackhawks, and so they beat the Blackhawks. The Wild beat the Blackhawks last night. So, and let's say about the football, like that Tom Brady stuff where they was losing 20-3, and then Stafford, like, did you guys dig where he just snaps the ball and Stafford, like, they get a fumble, and this is where you can tell it goes off script. So Vaughn gets the fumble, which was off script. So what was the next play? The next play is the center snaps the ball and the quarterback ain't looking, and they get the ball right back. When you see those kind of plays, you know it's off script, and they put it on script. Well, thank you, MJ. Oh yeah, it's a lot of snow. I mean, the drifts are quite a bit. I mean, some of these side roads ain't the greatest. They're still quite slippery. Now the main roads are cool because I had to go out earlier. The main roads are cool. I was able to deliver food back. Took food out today again to the older folks that need it. So yeah, and that's the big thing is a lot of old people don't eat good, and so it's funny as I what was funny is this food that's donated. It's a lot of sugary food, and it's kind of funny that, but you have to look at um, substance, or am I going to be hungry? So do I eat this sugary food or do I be hungry? And for some of the older folks, that is their choice, and that is what is. I hate to say it, but a lot of donated food is very sugary. Um, but again, um, when you're faced with substance or you're faced with being hungry, what's the choice? So the choice that they have to make is they got to eat. And so those that do have the diabetes problems and stuff, they have to watch what they eat. But it's just interesting that is mostly donated. I find that very interesting because we have a lot of people that, especially as they get older, that the sugar, because what sugar does is sugar attacks your kidneys. And I know as a young person, you've got to really study that thing, but that's what sugar will do. And it's like the Verizon commercial where they give them the great big suckers. We're talking about 30 grams of sugar. It's like when you really look at something and you look out the sugar intake, it's almost like you taking that spoon and you just swallowing down the sugar. It looks like my lift gate is open, so I'm gonna have to go back there and shut it. And that's really what you're looking at, is like you're looking at, and I know the way they do the foods and stuff, but when you're talking about 6-7 grams of sugar, just think you're talking about 6-7 teaspoons that you just down it. Like take a Frosty from Wendy's. I mean, with the ice cream and all of it whipped, it tastes one way, but if you go to the sugar intake and look how many, it's like you dumping all this and unrefined sugar, is harmful to your system. It just is. And as children, we think we can eat all this. I like my ex-wife's whole family going through her parents, her grandparents. And I tell my boys that's their mother, because she suffers from this. That you got to eat intelligently and cut that stuff out now while you're young. Because my son would always, my 20-year-old son would always like, oh, I know this is diabetes food. But see, one thing now, if you guys remember Eddie Griffin had he was a skinny cat. Well, a lot of times skinny people, there's nowhere for the fat to go in your arteries. And so skinny people tend to, in some instances, have heart issues more so than heavy people because of the way the arteries go. So, and I try to tell him that, and I'm like, you've got to eat intelligently, and unrefined sugar it's an enemy of the people, and it should be really banned. So just as you get older, it's something to think about. And it's funny with me, I like drinking beer so much that I could drink beer every day. I really could. But since Christmas, I haven't drank any. Just the idea of it sitting in my stomach. Like I've never, when I was sick, I never lost my taste buds. I never lost my smell. I'm not snorting as much, but just the idea of all that beer sitting in my stomach, I just really. And I'll say this, my pickleball people been playing pickleball, and it's been cold as hell. I mean, right now it says 8 above. Last night, I think with the wind chill factor, it got down to about 20 below. But my pickleball people be having the lights on, still playing. So as long as it's dry and they get the snow off the court, they play. So it's interesting. Some of them nights, though, it was you couldn't stand it. Some of them nights. So how long have I been going? I wasn't going to plan on going too long. Oh, okay. Well, a few more minutes. I'll say now it's just try to get your meditations in. The days are getting longer, where we're going to turn into the long days come, April, May, especially May. May, we have like 15, 16 hours of daylight, which are the long days. That's one thing I like about not drinking, is drinking in a lot of ways throws off the meditation. It's almost like a top. If you spin a top, and with the top with nothing added to it, it's just a natural way of moving. Well, when you drink alcohol, and even if you smoke bud, but if you drink alcohol, it wobbles that top. So it really, for you to fully pull in what you can pull in and go into what you can go into, alcohol does wobble your top. So that's one thing I do like. And it's like every day you should try to get in touch with what you create, what your essence is, knowing who you are. That should be a daily practice. Self-love should be a daily practice. And it's not hard. It's hard because we have so much going on in the world where we don't even take the few minutes to just look at ourselves. Like, how many times do you look in the mirror and you don't tell yourself you love yourself? Like, for the women that look in the mirror, how many times do you look in that mirror and as you're putting your face on, as they call it, that you love yourself? Or even the fellas, when you shave, how many times do you look at that and love that? How many times? You know, I mean, it's something where we do it, and and this is what we sit there and get ourselves together, and we don't even really look at ourselves. I mean, maybe shaving, maybe your hair, but even I've watched women put themselves together where they don't even really, they get all this, but they don't, I could just watch them and see they don't really even look at themselves. They look at the having to go through the lipstick, the eyes, but far as looking at it all and just saying, wow, I just love this. A lot of people don't do that. And so you have to do that self-love daily. You look in the mirror, that's what it's for. I love this thing. My mistakes, my flaws, all that. I love this. And hey, Siova, thank you for joining me. And so you have to spend that time to love yourself. What does music say? Self-love is the best love, and it really is. And so take that time. I mean, that's one thing about the wintertime. The wintertime can bring the blues. My own journey with depression was 77, 78. We had like 5 feet of snow and couldn't go nowhere. I mean, it was one of the times in my life, I told the story before, where we went to the grocery store and that motherfucker was empty. I mean, literally empty, because the trucks couldn't come into our city. And just looking at this snow and not being able to do anything, it was depressing. You know, so winter for a lot of people is depressing. I know my mother goes through it on the holidays. You know, when you're 80 years old and the holidays come for 40 years, you know, for 40 years of your life, these holidays meant this, with all this extended family. And one thing that me being 60 years old, I've watched generations go away. I watched my great-grandparents' generation go away. My great-aunts, my great-uncles, my great-great-uncles, my great-great-aunts. I watched that generation go away. I mean, I knew people born in the 1800s. I've said this before. You know, my great-great-grandparents was born in the 1800s. I knew them. And then I've watched my grandmother's generation go away, you know. Hey, Super Slide, thank you for joining. And so as we look at the true elders, you know, they go through all this. And I remember my great-grandfather saying, you know, despite him being around family, he was like, I'm lonely. All my friends are dead. My wife's dead. All my friends are dead. And it wasn't it wasn't nothing to us. But, you know, I'm his great-grandson. Do you see? You know, I am his great-grandson. So it was like, wasn't saying that I wasn't there, but the difference in our age, I think I was like in my early 20s and he was in his like late 80s, early 90s. So it wasn't no diss on me, but it was just like, and he was glad for my company. We played checkers, and he definitely passed me the magic, passed me the spiritualness of our family. But can you dig that? You know, you come to a point where your generation is gone. You know, where you know, if you look at you in your 40s, it's a point where you're going to see eventually your generation gone. I mean, I have college teammates that have already passed. And granted, I played football 44 years ago, but it's like like I watched some of my high school teammates pass, and now it's going into, my college teammates. And my college, teammates is in their 60s. I mean, I have so many stories about funny cats, and some of these cats ain't here anymore. But that's life. That's life. And all you can do is just move ahead. Death is part of it. I mean, it really is. I mean, a lot of us experiment with death and to see the realness or the unrealness of death by killing insects. You see how for a second you play, the good, you play the God, because you see how 1 second this little thing is crawling on your finger and you can just smash it, and that's the end of it for that thing. And so death is so much a part, and it's so much a part that it's worth studying. That's the thing. I mean, when we get into occult learning, occult is one of the few things that help you study death. Because this thing don't want you to study death. They want you to look at death as something to fear, when really it's a natural recurring. I mean, sleep is a type of death. Really is. Sleep is a type of death. Especially like you get into thinking about the movie Dark City, and how, every night the sleep, they was reset. The tuners would reset everybody. And that's almost, it's almost like that. It really is. Because it is that dying and then that reborn when you wake up. A lot of people don't realize that. I mean, like if you really, when you meditate and you really want to know how it would be, it'd be like you sitting there meditating, and then there's, another lane that comes in, and that lane, if it's your time, it's like you can jump into that lane and it'll snap the cord and you move on. I mean, it really is like that. I mean, it really is a moment where you can, other than sudden death, but just natural death. Just even like if that pain hits your heart so hard, you have the ability to say, okay, cool. You'll have those few moments to just close your eyes and say, okay, if this is the end of it through this, I'm gonna take my last little breaths and I'm gonna move into this other lane. I mean, it can be that easy for you. And in that way, and like I said before, when you look at death like that, that shit tends to go away. Like them pains will come, and then you're like, okay, I'm ready to get on this ride. And that shit be going away. It's a funny kind of thing. It's a funny kind of thing. Like I look at people 100 and some years old, 112, 140 years old. It was a cat they were showing Cambodia was 130 years old. And, they showing him smoking opium and shit. And I was just like, wow, like what trapped him here that long? Because 130 years, that's almost like a trap. And I know everybody wants to live forever, but like what would trap you here that long? Like he did not appear to have any mission that I could see. So would you want to be trapped here that long? I mean, 30 years would be, you can have children and watch your children grow and have children in that 30-year period. But guess I just wanted to hit a little bit on the pain. Like it's funny with pain. Those that play sports, that play in college, play pro, play semi-pro, pain is like a natural something you carry around with you all the time. I mean, you literally just carry pain around. Like there's times where I played games where I knew my foot, whatever, I would still play. I mean, it's just like pain becomes a natural part of living in a lot of ways. And a lot of us don't do enough to try to get away or take away that pain because it becomes so natural to carry around. I mean, I know runners that every time they run, they are in pain every time. And I would just say, you don't have to have pain all the time. Don't make it natural. Do everything you can to try to fight it. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier, what I went through, but I wanted to mention that is don't accept pain as natural. because it's not natural. No matter what kind of pain you're feeling, it is not natural, and try to find a way to get, take away the pain. Now, I take tramadol every day, and even when I was hurting, I can't take that shit more than one pill a day, because what happens is if I start taking 2 pills with opiates, your body will start wanting 2 pills every day. And that's talk, and I already know. And it's like it gets so bad where you start shivering and shit because the opiate, like, okay, you done doubled up. Well, you need to double up every day. And so that's another trap. So I know, yeah, that pill will help some of this pain, but if I do take more, my body's going to want more. That's how that shit works. So understand that. Looks like they're coming out. So understand that too about it. You got to understand how these drugs interact with you, especially if you get opiates. Your body will be wanting that shit. That's the thing about with heroin addicts, where they got to have it every day. They got to have it, or they got to have it at the same time. Not necessarily every day, but they have to have enough of it to keep them functioning. Little boy got tennis shoes on, just ran through the snow. Oh, that's kind of funny to me. It's like going to basketball practice and people wearing their slides and all this snow and cold. Like I said, it's eight above zero. By the time we get out of basketball practice, it's probably going to be 1 or 2. So they should be here anytime. Yeah, it's almost 3. But yeah, I wanted to say that about pain. Don't accept it. Do what you can to alleviate pain. And as I was talking about self-love, just that's why the first thing I listen to every day is love music. Of course, there's different levels. I start with love music, and then I end up with the dramatics, what you see, what you get, because want things to kind of speed up a little bit. But just love music, R&B. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like you should listen to some type of R&B every day. Every day you should listen to some type of R&B, just because of the melody, the chords, that it is going to install love in your heart. It's you that I need. I listen to Bob James Heads. I've been listening to that song since 75, 76. Change with Luther Vandross. Was it In the Mood for Love? Change with Luther Vandross. Can't beat that. Change jamming with Luther Vandross. Can't beat it. But this is how you want your heart filled. Look like, yeah, there we go. There's my crew. Well, the crew is in. We're starting to move. Responsible Daddy Hour. This is Chief Pontiac. Until we meet again. Well, I guess we'll go for a little longer. How was the school? Oh, there we go. Oh, kind of a sad place. You don't know what happened out there?
Oh, yeah, I do.
There's a big old sign that tells you what they did to people out there.
Yeah, it was one of the bunkers.
Huh?
It was one of the bunkers.
No, that ain't. There's a sign out there, and perhaps you'll see it. Did he just crash? I think he did. He got stuck. Wow. Driving too fast. You got basketball tonight. All right.